Hey everyone, welcome to the Closet Writer Chronicles. I'm your host Sangeeta, aka the Moody Marshmallow. We're going to be doing things a little differently this week. I'm going to be interviewed by Megha Vasudevan. You might remember her from our season opener Rainbow Raven, and her episode is currently the most streamed one this season. We chat about how the Closet Writer Chronicles came to be and about my journey into writing and what that's been like. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Hey guys, welcome back to the Closet Writer Chronicles. As you know, today is a very special episode. I am going to be interviewed by the one and only Megha Vasudevan, who is
Hello.
Hi, Megha. So, as some of you know, Megha happens to be our most streamed episode this season right now. And she's going to do the honors of interviewing me. So, hi, Megha. Welcome back.
Hi. Hi, good to be back.
Oh my God, we're off to a great start, as you can see. Yeah. But I am excited to chat with you, and hopefully I'm able to give good answers now that I'm on the hot seat. Now I know what my guests go through, but
Yep.
yeah, whenever you're ready.
The fire is under your seat now.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do this.
The proverbial fire. Okay. I'm going to lead in with, so I took a lot of inspiration from the questions that you asked me. And to be honest, I also Googled some things.
No
because while there were things that I think I personally did want to know about, like this podcast, how you came about this, and like your journey in general, there are obviously things that I was just like, okay, maybe I need help with what to ask to make it seem interesting.
Yeah, Google's your best friend for sure.
Google's everyone's best friend.
Yeah.
So just to kick us off, I guess my first question would be to ask you, what inspired you to create this podcast or like this series in general? Like it started on Instagram as like the post, and now you've made it a podcast. So what inspired you to create it, and why did you choose to make this idea out of all of the other content that you have? Why did you choose to make this into your podcast series?
Yeah. Love that question. So yeah, as you know, for those who don't, so initially the Closet Writer Chronicles was started as a series of Instagram posts on my public page, which is Marshmallow Musings. So the idea of actually starting that series was to kind of showcase writers who weren't really getting any kind of recognition. Because I mean, it's great to know about established writers, ones that are doing really well and stuff, be it on social media or otherwise. But the truth is there's so many people who are who enjoy creativity and who do kind of experiment with it and do their own thing on the side, and who aren't so public about it, either because they don't want to be, or because they have that obviously innate fear of putting their work out, because it is scary to kind of publicly put your work out and be judged, so to speak. So it was really a way to kind of help sort of find that talent, or those people who were writing, and showcase that and give them like a small platform of sorts to see what kind of reception they're getting, and if it could act as a nudge to let them write more, or put out their work more, then it would have been like great. So that was mainly my agenda for doing it. So I started as an Instagram series because I thought that would be more comfortable for people, because they just had to like write and send me the work, and I would either design it or they'd design the post themselves, and I just post it. But what happened during that process was I would end up having these conversations with these writers, and I realized I was taking back a lot more from those conversations. And at one point, I thought, it would be kind of cool to put out this, like, because say I've had, say, conversations even, say, with you, Megha, or with my other guests, like, say, an Ashwin Chabria or Rave or whoever. And, we talk about like we talk about the craft of writing. We talk about like philosophical things, and it gets really interesting. And I, in general, love like these one-on-one deep conversations. So, and it so happened that I was also working with Bound at the time on their podcast, The Book People. And that's
Yes.
when I saw the power of audio content, because I could see the reach and I could see the impact it was having. And I thought,
Yeah.
why not? I was toying with the idea at that point. I was like, maybe I could do something like this. But of course, there was the fear of, will people be willing to have these like recorded conversations and have like God knows how many people listen to it. So that was
Yeah.
definitely a fear. But then it just so happened that the podcast lab was happening by India Film Project and Anchor by Spotify, and I just thought it might give me credibility if I get through, and thankfully I did. So we're here today making this podcast. But yeah, that was really the idea of doing it. And yeah, it's been, we're like 10-11 episodes in now. We're in our mid-season break right now, so hopefully it's going well. Hopefully people are enjoying the show, and I'm so grateful to all my guests till now who've agreed to be a part of this. And yeah, I hope
Yeah.
everyone's taking something from this for sure.
I know I definitely did. I think after that first podcast came out, and then I actually heard, like, I cringe hearing myself on recording most of the
Same.
time. But but after like hearing that first podcast come out, and I've obviously listened to a few of the other guests, it is such an interesting, active conversation to have, like in this, like the what I would say is like the Indian writers community. So yeah. So in line with that, you've been through, like, as you've said, 11 interviews now, and you're like halfway through. And so many artists and creatives have been on the show. How has that journey been like? Just in general, making the podcast, recording it, having all these different intriguing conversations with all these people.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a really fascinating journey. I think, okay, first of all, when I got in for the program, because I had nothing prepared, I got in, and I remember the day I got, like, the announcement came out, I literally just reached out to all the people I had featured on Instagram. I remember reaching out to you and like
Yeah.
six other people I had featured, and thankfully everyone said yes. So I was like, okay, at least I have an initial lineup of guests. So I was sorted. I was like, okay. Then after that, what I did was I sat and made a list of, like, say 50 people I wanted to interview, because you don't know who's going to say no, who's going to say yes, what's going to happen, all that. And then
Yeah.
gradually I just started reaching out to people from there. And till now, whoever I've interviewed have been people I know to some degree personally also. So it's been
Yeah.
a little easier in the sense that I have some sense of what the person, like who the person is. So I have some vague idea of, like, okay, this is the direction I want to take the conversation, and these are the nerves I can touch while, talking about things. And obviously,
Yeah.
I make the process as collaborative as possible, because beforehand, I'll tell them what the format is, what the process is. I'll send in questions beforehand to make sure, they're comfortable. Then, of course, during the recording, if, they're not comfortable answering something, or they've said something and later they say, hey, I'm not too comfortable about this, I'll definitely, see what I can do in the edit about it, because I can understand, you're putting yourself out there. It's not easy. And I'm very respectful of that. And I really want my guests to have fun more than anything. I want them to really enjoy the conversation, enjoy the process. And more than being an interview, I want it to feel like, like we're getting coffee somewhere, or like a drink at some restaurant. We're just chilling and we're having like a fun conversation. And also, it's like questions I genuinely want to ask, and they're not always necessarily related to writing. Yes, creativity and writing is a part of it, but I also want to get to know their life journeys, what their professional lives have been, that because I've interviewed, like, there's an episode I've done with, like, Indra Reddy, who's setting up a school in Chennai, so we talk about education. Then there's another one with Samay Soni, who's an engineer. We talk about Indian engineering, and because he's like a typical engineer profile, and we talk about that. We kind of we poke fun at it, but it's a very real issue that a lot of, like, people go through. So we talk about that. So it's a combination of different things. So it's almost like you're listening into this private conversation between two people, as creepy as that sounds, but it's really it's really that. And now I feel like I'm rambling. Wait, what was your question?
How has the journey been? Which I think you pretty much
Yeah,
almost
because
covered, which I think what I could gather from that is that it was very exciting and like
yes.
eye-opening for you to have like all these different conversations with everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I love like these one-on-one conversations, because the first thing I'm like, this is a person I could interview. What questions do I have in general for this person? What would I love to know? Like, for example, okay, like recently I had a conversation with this musician, Sahil Bhargav. And
Mm-hmm.
interestingly, when I was researching about him, like one thing that like I found was that he has a certain degree of color blindness, and he's into
Mm-hmm.
animation, which I was like,
Oh
how does,
wow.
yeah, which I was like, how does that work? And I remember I asked him, I was like, listen, are you comfortable with me asking? And he was like, yeah, totally. And we spoke about that. So there are like these interesting things that come out. Okay. So I just have fun with it, honestly.
Yeah. And I think it definitely shows. Like when you listen to the podcast, you can tell that people are also like everyone you're interviewing is also comfortable because it doesn't feel like they're being grilled for questions. It's just like, yeah, like you said, it's ends up just being a conversation between two friends, but it's recorded and it's publicized.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves from this.
Yeah. So, like, speaking of, like, because obviously, as you've said, you've interviewed people that are in the education industry, in the music industry, engineering industry, but as hopefully by now everyone knows you are a writer yourself, content creator, if I can put it
Yes.
like that. What do you think has or did change in your inspirations for writing through this process? Like after all these interviews, do you think that you've picked up little pieces of creative process from these people you've interviewed, or picked up pieces of like insight into like life in general or
Right.
creativity in general? And has that changed any part of your writing process or the things that you want to write about from now on?
You know, honestly, with regard to changes, I don't know. I don't think I've observed it myself, to be honest. So even I'm not entirely sure, because even if I have picked it up, it must have happened subconsciously for sure. I don't know, like maybe I don't know how much of a good or bad thing this is, but I'm clearly not very observant in some senses of what I'm picking up externally sometimes and how that's being
Mm-hmm.
incorporated. I realize much later, because suddenly
Okay.
I'll be going through a piece and then be like, oh, wait a minute, like when did I learn to do this, or when did this happen? Or I was like, oh, I've changed the way I look at this. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what happens. So I feel like it's still early for me to like kind of sit and pinpoint that, oh, this is what's changed. But interestingly, one thing for sure is that it's definitely these conversations have reinstated certain thoughts and beliefs I have. Like, for example,
Mm-hmm.
like, one thing is that everyone was like, you need to keep practicing every single day your craft. You need to put in the
Yeah.
work. There's really no such thing as an overnight success story or whatever. There is a lot of work that goes behind any kind of art
Yeah.
form, or any job for that matter. There's a lot of work that goes in, and there's a lot of hard work, and you really need to kind of go at it. And also, I
Yeah.
think with life also, things like kind of don't be too hard on yourself, kind of go with the flow, don't be so
Mm-hmm.
rigid, and whatnot. So I think those have really helped me kind of reinstate certain beliefs in that sense. So yeah, that's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at, I think, with that.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah, I think I wrote this question to think like, okay, maybe she had like some big epiphany and
Not yet,
started
not yet.
not yet. That hasn't happened yet. This is only halfway. Once we get to the end, that's when the epiphany moment will happen.
Maybe, yeah, I think that might be the moment.
And just because I obviously have like a bunch of other questions like to your writing process in general to ask for. So the last question related to the podcast that I want to ask, and
Yeah.
feel free to be biased considering I am interviewing you, is
Oh my god.
who was your favorite person to interview so far?
I feel like answering this question is just going to get me into a lot of trouble. So I'm just like, how can I answer this? But it's
You can I put a clause that you can't be diplomatic, or is that too mean?
no, I mean, okay, see, the thing is, and I'm really, when I say this, I'm really not being diplomatic. But the thing is, like, all my conversations have been so different because they're all from such different backgrounds. Like you're a graphic designer. There's Rave, who's a
Mm-hmm.
screenwriter. There's Ashwin, who's like working in Microsoft. There's Samay, who's
Yeah.
getting who's an engineer getting an MBA. So it's so different, like my conversations are so different with each of them because we're talking about such different things in different industries and like just different aspects of life. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's difficult to say, and also we're just halfway through the season. Like I have to interview more people, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But there was definitely one conversation that really inspired me, and that was with
Mm-hmm.
Raja Rajeshwari Mahita.
Okay.
Purely because she's someone who's like from my parents' generation, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
she discovered like her calling in her 50s, which I
Mm-hmm.
thought was incredible. And
Yeah.
just listening to her story, her journey, having a conversation with her, I learned so much about life and just the experience she comes with. And she's so professional, she's so talented, and she was really kind because she recorded her episode with me when she was sitting in Sri Lanka filming for a BBC series. She didn't,
Oh.
yeah, she didn't need to do that, but she did, and that was like, and purely because we had connected because both of us were published in the same anthology in early 2020. That's how we connected. And I reached out to her when I got the opportunity to do the podcast, and she was so kind about it, and she was like very willing to be a part of it, and we had a really nice conversation. And I'm really grateful we had that, and I really hope I get to talk to her again because I really took
Mm-hmm.
back a lot. Because she talks about her life journey, about you know ageism, finding her calling at that age and kind of going after what she wants. And like she moved to Bombay in her 50s and pursued like an acting career and like a writing career and storytelling career, which is like incredible. And to
Mm-hmm.
hear from someone from that generation who's really going all out in that sense, it really again sort of reinstills the beliefs, I guess, from someone from my generation, right? Because we're constantly talking about authenticity and going after the things you love, and to see someone from like a previous generation who usually doesn't advocate for things like that,
Yeah.
to see someone like
Mm-hmm.
that be an actual example of that is just incredible. And like I loved that conversation. I think that was very inspiring for me, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think career changes are like probably one of the scariest things a person could ever do. And yeah, like as you said, like once you get to a certain age, I think a lot of people just resign to the fact that, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this 9 to 5, and this is what I'll do till I retire. And then
Yeah,
after that, who knows? But
exactly.
I think I had like a similar experience when I was at uni for like about like that brief year that I did design. And there
Okay.
was this man in my classes. I think he was about 80 or something. And he just decided, he was just like, this is what I want to do. So there was this man who just seemed so out of place, but at the same time, he just seemed like he was having a lot of fun.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I think I just looked at him and I'm like, okay, yeah. So I think it just, advocates for the fact that there's no age in which you can't decide that you want to do something else with your life.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, more power to
Yeah.
these people, for sure.
Yeah. Seriously, like I think they do serve as an inspiration to everybody. It's just like at any given point, if you just feel like it's not clicking anymore, just start afresh, like start something new. And like it's scary, but at the same time, it could be extremely rewarding.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so that like I'm gonna hold on to my promise, and that would be the last question about the podcast. So coming a bit more to your personal life and your career, how has writing fit into everything else? Has it been? Do you feel it's more of an outlet for your day-to-day life, or just something you do on the side, or is it more of an escape from your day-to-day life?
So, interestingly, I don't think I've ever looked at writing as an escape. I think it's always just been a way for me to express when I can't otherwise. That's how it
Mm-hmm.
started because, like, in 2016, 17, I was going through like a fairly rough patch in general. And I was really
Mm-hmm.
low on like self confidence and what I had no idea where my life was going. And I just started my blog on a complete whim. And I started purely because I was feeling really frustrated one day. I had no way of letting out that pent up frustration, I just opened my laptop, opened a Word document, and just typed. And I had no idea what I was typing. And suddenly, half an hour later, I had my first poem. That's literally how it started. It was just because I was so overwhelmed and I needed to, like, it's like I needed to get something out of me. So I just started writing, and I felt it was so cathartic to do that. And that's really how writing started. It was just a way for me to kind of express myself, get my emotions out whenever I'd feel extremely overwhelmed, which is why I was very sporadic with the things I was posting also, because it wasn't very regular. Then it just so happened that, I mean, lockdown happened and whatnot, and I started doing it more. And, like, I think God's been kind, where I've gotten like certain opportunities where I've been able to really, explore the craft and, produce like some decent work. And hopefully I'll keep, working on good projects and do good work. So that's been really great, And interestingly, I feel like writing has also just been a way for me to process reality and life. It's really been that. It's never, that's why I say I can't look at it as an escape, because it's actually a way for me to face reality. That's how it's always been for me. And interestingly, like, even say with my newsletter, which I started earlier this year, I mean, I've been on a bit of a hiatus for the past couple of months just because of things I've been going through in my own like personal life. And I'm planning to like finish it, like obviously close the year with like a newsletter. And I'm actually a little scared to write that, because I'm scared of what might come out, because I'm so unfiltered when I write. I'm so unfiltered that, once it's out, I'm like, okay, how much of this do I keep? How much of it is too much? Is this going to be like too heavy for someone to read? And then at some point, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to put it as unsanitized as it is. And God knows what it's going to trigger in who. But I mean, that's really what writing has been for me. It's just been a way to really process reality and my own feelings and thoughts about things, for sure.
Yeah, and that's such a good way to put it as well. I think a lot of people that write, like, there's obviously many reasons that people write, but I think one thing that I would say that I feel like everyone should get into a bit of writing is that that's how you can be. You can be so unfiltered with your own thoughts. And even if you're not sharing it with anybody, just write it, put it down on like either like digitally or put it down on an actual piece of paper and just get it out of your system.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Highly
like recommend. A weird form of therapy.
Yeah, it really is. I feel so good after, like, oh my God, it's like, oh, so this is what I was feeling and this is what I actually think. And,
it's like, finally I figured it out. This is okay. Now I can move on to the next issue.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah.
So I've wondered this for a while now, and also because you say like you write very unfiltered, like you write, very unfiltered, and that, some of your pieces can be a little hard. And saying all that, why Marshmallow? I have to ask, why Marshmallow? Because marshmallows are anything but unfiltered and hard. They're like soft and delectable pieces of sweet.
Yeah, but I'm a moody marshmallow.
Yeah, that's true. It is a moody marshmallow. Okay. But so why the name Marshmallow?
Okay.
Or like, why is marshmallow in the name?
Yeah. Okay. So short story, the name, because I love marshmallows and I'm moody. That's the short answer. Very straightforward. But I'll tell you the long answer to this. Okay. So the long answer is, so when I was living in Boston, when I was doing my master's in international business, so I don't know why, but I love dessert in general. I love anyone who knows me. I love chocolate. I love dessert. I'm huge on sugar, basically. But I had this especially when I was in the States, when I was in Boston, I was obsessed with this like dessert thing called s'mores. For those who don't know what that is, it's like basically graham crackers with chocolate and marshmallows, and you toast it. It's usually done like over like an open fire, like a bonfire or campfire, whatever. Or you even have a lot of like restaurants and stuff who do it. So I was obsessed with like toasted marshmallows and that dish, and obsessed so much to the point that one of my classmates suddenly just started calling me Marshmallow at one point. So that name just kind of caught on with the international students. Like they had like, they used to call me Marshmallow. They also used to call me like Sangria, because it was easier to say Sangria instead of Sangita, apparently.
Sangita.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how it started. And I was like, and then like, I don't know why suddenly one day, like the name just came to me. I was like, oh, what if like I was like the Moody Marshmallow, because I'm a very like moody person. At least I think I'm very moody. I have like major mood swings sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
So I just randomly, I don't know for what, and I just decided to change my Instagram handle to the Moody Marshmallow. And this was like in 2015. 14
Yeah.
or 15, yeah. So I just changed it, and it was on a, again, complete whim. I just changed it, and I just left it like that, and it stayed. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, so even when I started my blog in 2017, I was like, what do I name the blog? I was like, oh, my Instagram handle, the Moody Marshmallow. Let's just name
Moody
it.
Marshmallow.
Let's just name it that. So that's real. And interestingly, the names like caught on like so much to the point that, like recently, as in like, I think it's been about a year now, but like one of my friends, like she got engaged, and she was having like this small engagement, like party of sorts, where like she and, her fiance were kind of like introducing their friends to each other and stuff, and kind of announcing their engagement. So, I went in, and obviously we're all introducing each other. And my friend goes, yeah, this is Sangeeta. I'm like, she's the Moody Marshmallow. And everyone's like, oh, you're the Moody Marshmallow. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like suddenly, like now people know the Moody Marshmallow, but they don't know me. So it's very like, I don't know. It's such
it's
a, yeah, it's a very out of
become
body
an
experience almost.
enigma.
I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad the name has caught on. But yeah, it's really funny. But yeah.
I think that's always a good thing when you have a name that you like yourself, and then eventually other people start to associate, even if they don't recognize it immediately, start to associate that name with you. And like
Yeah.
that's how brands are created at the end of the day. Like it's like something that you just start, like you pull this name out of the air and you just hope that it catches on enough that people will remember it.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be what's happening. I mean, hopefully that continues. But yeah, let's see.
So in line of that, and like because you said you've mentioned that you've got your Instagram page, the Moody Marshmallow, and you also have Marshmallow Musings.
Yeah.
And both of those have a combined following count now of like over 1K. Um, and in just like in the lines of like, because lately there's been a lot of there's a lot of like backlash with how Instagram's algorithm
Right.
functions and how follower counts grow and things like that.
Hmm.
Do you think you would want to try to increase that number? Like, is it just a number? Is it just like, so followers, does it matter so much? Or because you are trying to create potentially this brand identity, would
Yeah.
you want to increase that follower count as a priority? Or at the end of the day, is it just a number, and for you, is it just like, listen, I want to write and that's all that is?
Yeah, no, I get what you, and interestingly, this is a conversation I've been increasingly having with people around me. I think just because of the more work I've been doing. And so like a fun fact, well, I don't know if it's fun, but it's a fact. But basically, I think till like 2017 or 18, I actually had over 1,000 followers on my personal page, which is the Moody Marshmallow. And then what I did is I kind of just removed half my followers and brought it down.
Okay.
The reason I did that was because I'm like, hey, wait, this is like my private page. Why do I need so many people following me? So I was like, how many people
Okay.
do I actually want on this account? And accordingly, like I removed followers or whatever. And I kept it that, because I was like, see, this is a place where I'm sharing like personal, and I enjoy Instagram. I love it. Like I will,
Yeah.
like if I feel like it, I will post. I don't care how many likes I'm getting. I don't care what comments I'm getting. I do it because I want to post something. I was like, oh, I look good today, I want to put this up, I will post it. That's
Yeah.
literally like how I do it. I was like, oh, like food, I enjoyed this dish, I'm going to post about it. I'm going to post like 10 stories about my day today. I'm not going to post at all today. That's literally how I am on my personal account. So I
Yeah.
enjoy Instagram in that sense. But like at the same time, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of public scrutiny, because
Yeah.
like people can be really unforgiving,
Mean.
yeah, and really mean, and I mean, see,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course I can like restrict comments and do this, that, and all that. but then I don't know how well I deal with it, which is why I'm saying this is a conversation I've been having, because obviously, like, I understand the power of social media and I understand what it can do for me if, done correctly and done in a way, and if I'm authentic enough to myself, I understand what it can, do for me. And I know for a fact
Yeah.
that if I open up my personal page tomorrow, my follower count will increase. I don't know significantly or not, but there will be a certain increase. I know that for sure. So,
Yeah.
like, I know it sounds very narcissistic, but the reason I can say that is because I have a fair number of follow requests on that personal page, which is why I know.
Yeah.
So, I know it will go up to a certain degree. But, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of, public scrutiny of, like, oh, this is the kind of person, this is the life she leads, or like, I don't know if I want
Yeah.
that, which is why I
Yeah.
started the public page where I only post my writing. You won't see, like, it's only my work. There's nothing to do with my
Yeah.
personal life on that. And with that account, the thing is, if it organically grows, I'm happy. I mean, see, it's not like I have, like, I think like 470 followers or something on that right now, which I'm very content with. I'm okay with, because the other thing is, I'm very happy with the quality of followers I have. Like,
Yeah.
it's great to have the numbers, but it's also like, who is following my work, and are these people actually getting my work? Are they, on the same page as me in terms of, the kind of work I want to do and stuff? And
Yeah.
thankfully it has been like that. And, like, listen, I have people, and I'm very, again, very grateful for this. I have, like, pages like the Aleppo Post and like Bound and like the team members at Bound, and, like Pragya Bhagat and like Castro Smith and stuff following me, which I'm very, like, happy about. Like, these are people who reached, like, who saw my work and they liked it and they followed me back, and I was so happy. Dude, the Entropy Mag follows me, which is like,
Yeah.
for anyone who's into writing and like lit mags and stuff, they'll know who, like, so for me, those are a big deal. It's like, I have so and so following me. For me, that is a bigger deal than, oh, XYZ. Like, it's great to have the numbers, not denying that. I understand the numbers would definitely do things for you. And it's, see, it would be amazing for me to have a page like, say, a Ron Writings or an SRW Poetry, who have massive numbers, okay, and they
Yeah.
purely only post work. Like, it's only text on their pages, but I mean, it's beautiful, like, what they post. So it's very well deserved. I get that. If I can reach that stage, then, well and good, I'd be like extremely happy. But I'm okay with that slow organic growth. And having said
Yeah.
that, there are also, like, writers, like well established authors also, who don't have much of a following, but they're doing like quality work. Like, you'll hear about them
Yeah.
in the press or like at some lit fest or something, but you go see their social media, like, it's really not much of a presence. They just have like a few hundred followers sometimes, or not even
Yeah.
that. But they're still doing great work. So, having said that, that's what there with social media. Like, if my public page does well, great. With my personal page, I'm still very iffy about going public with it, purely because I don't know if I want to put myself through that, honestly. But
Yeah.
it is a conversation I've been having, because I know there is a lot I can do with the personal page and I can get a larger reach. But also, I know the cost of that larger reach is, that kind of public scrutiny and sort of judgment, which, like, I don't know
Yeah.
if I really don't know if I want to deal with that, honestly speaking. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now with that.
Yeah. I definitely agree with not wanting the judgment. I think I also like made my personal like page like private, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I want these people to be like, here. I'm like, it's very weird to have, like, I think with social media influencers and stuff, it's like there are people following you just because of the way you look, or just to like
Yeah.
comment like things about the way you look, and it could also make you very, very self-conscious,
Oh yeah.
in not in the worst way possible. It makes you want to uphold this sense of person that's entirely fake, and I kind of feel bad for some of these public influencers, and I'm like, how do
So
you
true.
do it? How do you put up this facade every day and you're okay with it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess, like, because of that, they do get the sponsorships, and they are
Hmm.
making money off of it, so that's their end game for that.
Yeah.
But
No.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. Oh my God. And I think it's also, the thing is, I feel like, see, everyone to some degree wants fame, but the problem is not everyone knows how to handle fame. That's the other thing.
Yes, yes,
Because
that
for
is
some
definitely true.
some people, it just unfortunately like either goes to their head or they break down, or it's like it's not easy, and this is a question I've asked myself. I'm like, do I actually want, like, do I want to be a public person, or do I want to be famous? Do I want to like actually go in that direction? Because right now I do have that option. It's a conversation I've, like I said, I've been increasingly having with people around me. And to be very honest, I'm very happy if my work gets more recognition than me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very happy going on the road and no one recognizing me, but people talking about my work, that, oh my God, did you read this by so and so? Like, that would make me very happy, where I can still live like my private life, or like, to the way I want to, without people being like, oh my God, it's her walking on the road or some rubbish. I mean, not that like I'm also being like very narcissistic and be like, yeah, that's such a possibility. But no, like, when I really honestly thought about it, I'm like, do I really want that? And I'm like, no, I'm very happy, living my life in my bubble, doing my own thing, still like, going to places I like going without having 10 people come up to me and be like, oh, autograph this, that, and all. And like I said, again, I'm being very narcissistic thinking that this is going to happen. But yeah. So
No,
I feel like that's what I'm at.
I don't think it's entirely narcissism. It's also like it's ambition. Like at the end of the day, I feel like everyone wants to leave like some sort of legacy behind, right? There's always like that part of you that's just like, yeah, like even if it's just my family and friends that remember me when I'm gone, but like that's the beautiful thing about creative work. It's like even if you're gone, that stuff lives on. It lives on through you.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think I would definitely want my work to, like you said, to live on and have that recognition and have like people appreciate it, as opposed to like people like being like, oh my God, so and so, or whatever. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at, honestly.
Yeah. So like how, like, just to like have a little break here, and like just a very random question that I think I've heard people, like I've asked this about like to myself, and I've asked this to other people as well. If you could turn back time to 18-year-old you, like if you could go back in time right now and you're standing in front of 18-year-old you, what would you tell them about like your journey, or like the future, what it holds? Or like, would you talk to them at all? Like, would you say anything?
I mean, I don't think I would tell them what happens, because I don't think 18-year-old me would be able to handle what I tell them, to be honest, about what happens in the future. But I think one thing I would definitely tell my 18-year-old self is that, don't be so rigid. Don't be so hard on yourself. Learn to go with the flow and, take things as they come. It's going to be a very bumpy ride, but you will get through. You will figure your way out, and you'll grow, and you'll become proud of the person you become. That I can definitely tell them. I'll like, you'll be very happy with who you see in the mirror every day after you will. So I think that is something I definitely tell them. Interestingly, I think last year when I was turning 27, I actually wrote a poem to my 17-year-old self. So yeah, so that is something. So yeah, I think maybe I would even tell them that poem, but yeah, I think just basically brace yourself for the ride, but you'll come out a much better and stronger person for sure.
Yeah. Would you warn them about the pandemic? Would you be like, listen, in a few years' time, the world is going to be locked down and everything's going to be on fire?
Oh my God. Honestly speaking, like, though the pandemic, like, I understand the lockdown was a very tough time for so many people, and it was devastating because time literally came to a standstill for everyone. But having said that, I think I was very fortunate because the pandemic was when my career took off, which is so crazy. Yeah, that was when my creative career took off. So it was like crazy that it took the world to come to a standstill for me to find writing as a profession. So that's literally what happened with me, honestly speaking, because I just decided that, oh, I have time, let me just focus on writing, and because of that I got like certain opportunities, and I could kind of pursue it and do things with it, and it just, one thing just seemed to work out after another, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, I'm really just taking each day as it comes, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, so in that sense, I've been very grateful. I mean, of course, it's been hard. It has been depressing for sure. I mean, I've missed seeing people, and it wasn't
Mhm.
easy for everyone. Everyone had their own difficulties with it. You had people, living on their own. I know how difficult it was for you because you were living away from home. You were on your own in isolation. And
Yeah.
like it was hard. Like I was very privileged and fortunate because I was at home. I was with my parents. So I wasn't
Mhm.
completely like cut off. And thank God for like Zoom and other virtual things where you could still maintain some kind of contact with the outside world. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So, like, as we've established, your creative career, your writing career is like on the rise right now, and there's so many projects and things that you're a part of aside from this podcast. There's the magazine and everything. Like we did Anesthesia, and
Yeah.
you're part of so many indie projects as well. And like even like I think it was last year that you conducted the writing workshop, which I was
Yeah.
also a part of, which is what led to Anesthesia.
Yeah.
So what would you say was the turning point? And this is like kind of my end all question. What was the turning point from just posting poems on Instagram as like a hobby, or just like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to write this and I just want to put it out there? What was the turning point from that to taking such a big step into what could be your professional career?
Honestly, and I know this is going to sound like I don't know how this is going to sound, but I'm very wary of saying that I'm going to like become a writer or this is my career or to define my career, because I feel like
Mhm.
each time I have done that with my life seems to have other plans for me and I'm suddenly pushed in another direction. I really
So
feel,
jinxing yourself.
yeah, I really, because like if you look at my career trajectory, like see, I was with my family business, which was shipping and logistics. Then I was
Mhm.
in the legal field, and then I decided, okay, I want to like do law or whatever. The minute I decided
Yeah.
that, the pandemic happened and I was in lockdown. And then suddenly now I'm with writing. Now my fear is if I'm like, oh, like I properly say that this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to be pushed back into something else. So it's a very like, yeah, I don't know if I'm jinxing myself or if life is just playing dodgeball with me at this point. But yeah, so like I don't know, but I mean, having said that, one thing I can say is that I've never felt more fulfilled and satisfied than I do
Mhm.
with like this creative journey I've had. Honestly speaking, I think if I can obviously find a way to make it work in a monetarily sustainable way,
Yeah.
sustainable overall, honestly, then of course, I'll stick with it and do what I can. But also, I don't purely just see myself as a creative or just a writer or whatever, because I feel like I do have a management side also to my personality,
Mhm.
which I do want to incorporate somehow. How I do that
Yeah.
in the creative space, or so it's almost like I'm looking at a mix of corporate and creative, because I
Mhm.
think that hybrid is what I would love, honestly speaking,
Yeah.
because I do have that management side to me and I do love that. I do love organizing. I love business development. I love strategy, consult. Like these are
Mhm.
things that's a part of me I can't, keep away from, and I want to incorporate that somehow. I don't think I can purely just be a writer or creative. I love that, but that's just a part of me. That's not fully me. So I think
Yeah.
to maybe find a way to incorporate the things I love and bring that together and create what would be really fully satisfying for me as a person. I think that would
Mhm.
definitely be the end goal for me at this point.
So can we look forward to a Marshmallow Musings writing studio anytime soon
Oh no,
with your own creative space?
that's a great idea, honestly speaking. But no, but seriously, I feel like especially, in India, but even I think globally, publishing is a very interesting space. And I feel like especially
Yeah.
during lockdown and the pandemic, so many creatives have come out with so many things, and it's a space that's really evolving and is really, people are making livelihoods out of their art now, which is incredible. Thanks to
Yeah.
social media and just other things and whatnot. So it's definitely an interesting place to be in. And I think if you can find a way to sort of make a space for yourself, you will like thrive if you have the talent, if you're willing to like work hard and you're able to kind of identify the right opportunities for yourself, and if you're lucky enough to even get them, then I think you can make it for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the only thing I can do and the only thing I know I'm good at is hard work. So I'll keep working hard. I'll keep, putting in the work, and hopefully I'll keep getting good opportunities, and I'll keep, putting out good work. And yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully it all goes well. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm still gonna say fingers crossed. Sangeeta is gonna come out with her own publishing studio for small artists.
Woot.
And
The dream.
this is what we're gonna look forward to. This is the future.
Yeah.
But I can picture it. I think you'd be really good at it. I think you would make the space right for small time creators. And I think like that's the thing. Yeah, like social media is there, but for a lot of people, either they're too scared to approach an actual publishing house to get their works out there, or if they do it on their own dollar, sometimes they don't really see much return from it, and that could dishearten people. So if there is like some solution there that we as creatives could contribute to as a collaborative,
For sure.
project, it's a very interesting thought to have.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fun for sure. It's definitely worth sleeping on and being But yeah, I do hope to kind of maybe start something on my own at some point. But we will see what happens and what I come up with and how well I'm able to execute it. But yeah.
I'm always a phone call away if you ever need anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Of course. I will definitely bug you with this, Megha.
No, feel free. I think that's a part of me. That's why I brought it up, because I was also thinking about it. I'm like, this is a nice idea. But I'm definitely not the kind of person to be able to start something like that by myself. But like,
Yeah.
Why not? With the power of the South Asian creative community, who knows what could happen?
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that has been all of my questions. Is really weird, but how do you think I did?
I mean, I had fun. I hope you had fun. I hope it wasn't stressful for you. I was not stressed out. I had fun, and I felt like I spoke a lot, which I don't know if it's a good thing or not.
Oh no, definitely was a good thing. I think we've learned a lot about you and this whole process, and I think that's what the people are here for. That's what they're here to hear about.
Oh, thank you. I mean, hopefully I don't bore people through this episode. And now when I sit to edit this episode, I'm, oh my God, why have I spoken so much in these sections? What am I doing? Oh my God. But yeah, it should be fun.
Yes, it definitely will be. And I think, I have also had a lot of fun. I've never actually interviewed anyone before, so this has been super interesting for me.
Oh, yeah. Well. No, you were good. You should start your own podcast, Megha.
No. I don't think I have like the drive to stick with something like this. Like I think the only thing that I like professionally have the drive to stick with is graphic design, because it's something I'm very comfortable with.
Yeah, you're very good at.
To do a podcast, I think you need to have like that conversational space in your head to be able to do that. And I think my personality is such that I'm a very quiet person, that I don't think it would work out very well. I do all of 3 episodes and be like, okay guys, that's all I have to say.
No. Hey, but you never know. Maybe when I start that studio, suddenly Megha,
okay. Yes, okay. I see how the wheels are turning now.
Yeah. Oh my God. But no, thank you so much, Megha, for doing this. Absolutely love this experience. I hope our listeners enjoy this. You've been great. Hopefully I've not bored people, but yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me on again. And yeah, again, always amazing experiences anytime you ask me to collaborate. And it's always such a fun thing for me as well.
Oh, thank you. Well, that was new, and that was definitely a lot of fun to record. With that, we'll be taking a mid-season break. Don't worry, I'll be back in January. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you next year with new guests and new chronicles to share. Talk soon!